Welcome or welcome back if you're new to my channel. My name is Taylor. I love to talk, I love to yap, and I especially love to talk and yap about books. If you can't tell, I am a big reader, and today we're gonna be doing a 2024 mid-year book tag. I feel like I've been reading some really good books that have been exciting me, that I'm excited to talk about. And yeah, so we're just gonna get right into this video. I'm gonna be talking a lot about the books that I've read this year. You're probably gonna hear, let's just say 1, 2, maybe 3 books that I talk about a lot. So the first question is the best book that you've read in 2024. I wonder what my favorite book of 2024 can be. Does anybody have any guesses? Literally, as I have 6 copies of it up there. Hands down, without a doubt, don't even need a second to think about it. It is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I don't have enough words to explain what this book has done. And I also got a tattoo for it, and I shared about it in a vlog, and I never officially shared it because it's on the back of my arm. But this is a little tattoo that I got because this book means that much to me. I got it because this book is split into a bunch of parts, and at the beginning of every part there is like a piece of art. And part 1, there were these birds. It's drawn from here. I had to do it. I will say this is a book that you are either going to love or you're gonna hate. There is no in between. There are so many people that are obsessed and love this book just as much as I do, and then there are people that literally hate this. They think it's boring, they put it down, they really can get through it. If you've read this book or tried it and you're like, why is that her favorite book? You're not alone in that feeling. Also, I'm rambling. Let me just narrow it down a little bit and tell you about this book if you haven't read it. This book follows Addie LaRue, who is this sweet girl who wants to leave her small farm town in France. It's the early 1700s. So she was really meant to like get married by somebody her family picked out for her. She was supposed to be like a stay-at-home mom, and she always just wanted to adventure and get out into the world. She loved art. She loved her dad, who was a woodmaker, and she just had too big of dreams for the life that she was living. One day when she was supposed to get married, she runs out into the woods. She ends up meeting Luke, which is pretty much the devil, and she basically makes this deal with Luke that she will live forever and get to live the exact life she wants to do. She's gonna get to do and see and adventure everywhere for all eternity, and Luke gets her soul. And as you know, with any kind of instructions or deals or contracts, you really have to read the fine print. And our sweet little Addie does not do that. The devil has her soul. She gets to do whatever she wants, go wherever she wants, but nobody remembers her. So this book is just her story of making this deal in the early 1700s, and then her living her whole life until the early 2000s, and it's the people she meets that forget her. It's her presence in art, and then one day in the present day, she meets somebody that finally remembers her. His name is Henry. They meet at a bookshop, and the story just goes from there. So you're getting to see her whole life spanning over the course of 300 years, people not remembering her, her pain, her joy, her sadness she felt, going through this beautiful life, getting everything she wants, but having nobody to share it with. It's extremely heartbreaking, but it's honestly so eye-opening at the same time. This book is a masterpiece. I'm actually tearing up. I did not expect this book to do what it's done for me, but this is hands down, my favorite book of the year, no question about it. Nothing will ever be Addie LaRue. How many books have I read this year? Why would you ask me that? Here's my Goodreads 2024 challenge. Last year I read 65 books, and so I just wanted to up it a little bit. So my goal is 85 books. I am 11 books behind schedule. I don't want to talk about it. The goal is fun. It's not serious, but I am definitely behind schedule, but I have read 34 books this year. Speaking of another soul tie book, what is the best sequel I have read this year? Thank you for asking me that, because I could yap about this series forever too. This is the Beartown series by Frederick Bachman. He has been a favorite author of mine for a very long time. I believe this is his only series that he has. He has a lot of standalone novels. I've honestly read all of them besides like maybe 2. And I actually read Beartown maybe 5 years ago, and I never continued the series, but we read it for a book club. So I got to reread it and I realized how much I loved it. And I was like, why did I never continue the series? And so I did. So to answer this question, I have not read this one yet. I'm about to read it this week. Somebody say a prayer for me, but this is the last book of the series. So haven't read it yet, but my favorite sequel is hands down Us Against You. Where do I even start? The first book is like, okay, it's still very, very heartwarming. It's very touching. It's very heartbreaking as well. There's a lot of heaviness in these books. It's advertised as this small town called Beartown, where there's a hockey team that is the center of the town. It's like what people breathe, eat, sleep, hope, have joy for. There's this hockey team, and the star hockey player does something extremely fucked up to the coach's daughter. And it's the story of that, how the hockey team takes it, how the citizens take it, how the town came together, how the town falls apart, how people step up, how people step down. I feel like it's a psychological dive into the reality of when trauma hits, how people handle it, centered around hockey. So there's tons of characters. I don't even, oh, is the page, I'm like, is the page falling out? It's a boarding pass. That's in a Whataburger gift card just fell out. That's very on par with me. But yeah, that's the first book and kind of what the series is about. And then the second book is kind of the aftermath of the first book. And because of the conflict in the first book, there ends up being players from the hockey team that leave the Beartown team and go play at a neighboring town. And so you're just getting to see the rivalry and the aftermath of the events that happen in the first book. You definitely dive more deep into specific characters, for better or for worse, dare I say. I believe that because I've read these books, I have children now because of how much love I have for these fictional people. Like, I genuinely cannot believe that they don't exist in real life because I love them that much. Hands down, the best sequel I've read this year. They're so good. New releases I have not read yet, but really want to. I definitely think I have a few of these, so I'm just gonna kind of like rapid fire them. I definitely think the #1 most sought after book right now that's new that I haven't read yet is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I have heard such amazing things about this book. It is a thriller-esque that takes place at a summer camp, and there's just something about a thriller or murder or some kind of anything that has to do with the summer camp. Sign me up. I am somebody who grew up going to summer camp. It was the highlight of my year. So I am summer camp's #1 biggest fan. Like, I just loved summer camps. And so something about a summer camp thriller just sounds right. It is right for me. And then honestly, one of the most stunning covers I think that's come out this year, it's called Where the Dark Stands Still. It's young adult, which I don't really read a lot of young adult, but I have heard people compare it to Addie LaRue. So that is genuinely the only reason why I want to read it. If you can't tell from the beginning of the video, Addie LaRue's biggest fan. And any book that people are like, say it's kind of near Addie LaRue, I want to read it immediately. But this next one, A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. That was so Southern. Why did I sound like that? I love Tia Williams so much. I got to see her speak on a panel. I loved 7 Days in June. She is just so good. So I am so excited to read this one as well. I believe this one has something to do with a florist, which is one of my favorite tropes ever. And I also believe a musician, which really sounds like my cup of tea. My husband is a musician, so obsessed. I might be wrong, but from what I've heard, I believe that's what it's about. These first 3 books I haven't read yet because they got released in hardback. I'm just waiting for it to be released in paperback or for me to keep my Kindle in airplane mode so I don't lose it from Libby. But this is one I just am so excited to read, and I'm mad I haven't yet. So some anticipated releases for the second half of the year. There are so many books I feel like that are coming out right now and just later on in the year that I am so stoked for. But number one, it just released like 2 days ago, is Play Along by Liz Tomford. I am obsessed with her. I have loved every book she's written, but I think I have blinders on because she is a flight attendant, and as a flight attendant, any kind of flight attendant author, I am like, I will support you forever. You know, I just have a special place in my heart for her, and all of her books have been amazing. I eat them up. They're so good, but I've heard this one is so good, so I genuinely cannot wait to read it. I just got it on my Kindle because it's on Kindle Unlimited, so that will be read very soon. Of course, Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I honestly need to read more of her books. I have Conversation with Friends. I've only read Normal People, but I'm kind of slowly turning into like a lit fic thought daughter kind of reader. I'm really excited for this one. I've heard really good things, and I think Everybody Getting Arcs is like making me be like, I have to read this book, even though I have so many other books that I need to read by her, but I am very excited for that one. Liz Painter is coming out with, I think it's a prequel to Better Than the Movies, and it's called Nothing Like the Movies, and I have heard amazing things, and I am so excited to read that one. In August, Ava Reed is coming out with Lady Macbeth, and the cover, the vibes, I don't know, it just sounds like something that I'm really gonna love. So I cannot wait for that one to come out as well. A book that surprised me in the best way possible is Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. I ate this book up, and I think it surprised me because I didn't go into it thinking, you know, I was gonna hate it. I think I was going into it apprehensive because I just really didn't think I was gonna love an orchestra related like romance that just does not sound like my cup of tea. I love music, I love instruments, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, something about like an orchestra romance, I was like, what? I don't know. This book had me sweating. My husband's a musician, if you know what I mean. I might have to have him read it. I was so shocked and surprised at how much I love this book. Loved it. Every second of it, had all the emotions, had all the things, just chef's kiss. Favorite author from this year, debut or new to you? It is Yulin Kwong. I feel like this is one of the first contemporary romances where there's a third act breakup or like a reason why they can't be together that actually was realistic and made sense. It wasn't something dumb and then they get back together 2 pages later. This book has everything that I want in a romance. It had friendship, it had depth, it had 2 people growing at their own paces and becoming who they were supposed to be. It had family, it had grief, it had healing. It has everything and more. And it felt like you were reading the making of a movie. It was such a good book. I loved her writing so much. I just genuinely cannot wait to see all the things that she's a part of because her writing is impeccable. It is so good. She was made for the girlies. She is hands down my favorite author that I have found this year, and she is new to me, as I'm sure she's new to you if you have read or seen her anywhere on the internet. Okay, I guess we'll talk about crushes together. Sorry in advance to my husband. I think for this, I have 2 picks. One is a golden retriever, the other is a black cat, Morley Gray character. I love a Morley Gray man, don't even get me started. My first one is gonna be Miles from Funny Story, aka Nick from New Girl, which he's my favorite as well. Miles was doing the best that he could, and he was looking scruffy doing it. He was tattooed, he worked at a bar, he was adventurous. He was just everything. I really hope, I don't know if I want him casted as Nick Miller. I don't know if but that's all I can see. He's my number one. So cute, loved him so much. My other book crush is from A Darker Shade of Magic. This is the first book. There's other books, I haven't completed the series yet, so maybe this will change, but at least from this book, freaking Kel. I love A Morally Gray Man. If you have not read her in general, I already talked about Addie LaRue, it's the same author, but she is brilliant and she can write a morally gray character better than anyone out there, hands down. I am in love with every man that she has written and they're all messed up. Kel from this book, ooh, don't even get me started. Read this book. I'm gonna continue the series here soon, so I can't say much about the other books, but in this book, don't mind if I do. I think this is probably my new favorite category of books, which is funny because I am not a crier, but I've been really liking crying. Books that have made me cry this year, I'll go from a couple tears shed to like downpour. The first one, and I actually just recently read it, is 7 Summers by Paige Toon. This book follows Liv, who works at this beach bar, and she meets Finn there. He is in town for the summer from LA, performing in this cover band who performs at the bar that she works at, and they kind of fall in love. After they fall in love the first summer, you think they're gonna live happily ever after, and something extremely heartbreaking and tragic happens that changes the course of Liv's life. And Finn is about to leave to go back to LA, and she's like, I genuinely cannot do this. I am not emotionally well, so I'm gonna have to say bye to you, but by chance, if you're single the next summer you come back, we'll give it a shot. And so you get to go through them 7 summers long, trying to make it work, being the right people, having it be the wrong time, and it is extremely sad. Oh, this book is so sad. The concept of her not being remembered her whole life is so sad. There are so many scenes where I kind of teared up. Even though I should have known what was to come from this book with how emotionally devastating it was pretty much the entire book because nobody remembers her, I didn't take a second to think about what was happening. And if I would have just taken like a second, maybe I would have softened the blow a little bit, but we'll just leave a picture here. Even talking about it now, I'm tearing up. I was not well. I was not well reading this book. And for our first place book, the book that made me sob, absolutely hysterical. I was hyperventilating reading this book. No book has ever made me cry in the way that this one has, and it's why I'm so scared to read the last book in the series. But our winner, most emotionally devastating blow to the heart yet this year, Us Against You. What books do I need to read by the end of the year? So I'm just gonna share my 3 immediate TBR books that I'm gonna be reading. I just mentioned it in the last question, but it's absolutely massive, and I really feel like I might not emotionally recover when I finish this book, so I've been putting it off for as long as possible, but this I am reading after the book I'm reading now. So if you're seeing this video, I'm probably reading this as we speak, so just be thinking of me. Next up is The Love of My Afterlife. I have heard so many amazing things about this book. People say if you like Ashley Poston, which she wrote The Dead Romantics, she wrote The 7-Year Slip, which is a fan favorite, and she just released a novel love story, which I'm gonna talk about in a minute. People say if you love her books, then you will love this one because there's some kind of time jump in this book. But the back of the book says, a recently deceased woman meets the one in the afterlife waiting room, scoring a second chance at life in love if she can find him on earth before 10 days are up. So it sounds like a really good book, and I know some people that have recently read it that absolutely love it, and I'll be reading it very soon because I can't wait. So this is one that I need to read by the end of the year. And then I also really cannot wait to read Old Enough. My internet friend Haley wrote this book. It just got re-released in paperback, and I have heard so many amazing things about this book. A lot of girls in my book club have read it, and it's like one of their favorite books of all time. The back says, a novel for anyone who's lost a friend, found themselves, and survived their 20s. Old Enough is a gem. Boy, did I survive my 20s. So I just think this will be a really good read, especially in the summer, and I can't wait to read this one as well. The most beautiful book I have bought this year or received. This cover, especially because of the scene that it's from, I don't usually love people on covers, but this is one of my favorites that's come out from this year. Another book I haven't talked about, but I really did love this year was The Unmaking of June Farrow. This is a special edition, but the original cover is so stunning as well. But this is an Owl Crate edition. It is just genuinely jaw-dropping. It is so beautiful. The dust jacket, pink sprayed edges. The art is out of this world. How many 5-star reads have I had this year? I have 6 books that I have rated 5 stars. The first book I rated 5 stars this year was Funny Story by Emily Henry. I got to read an arc, so that's why it was like towards the beginning of the year. But I think Funny Story is probably second place for my favorite Emily Henry book. I loved it so much. But that was my first 5-star read of the year. Forever favorite, 5 stars, hands down, no questions asked. 5 stars. We're not surprised though. This is hands down my favorite Abby Jimenez book. I loved it with all of my soul. An easy 5-star book for me. I say that this is a 5-star book that kind of like sneaks up on you while you're reading it. You're reading it and you're loving it. You're not really thinking about anything else. You're kind of obsessed with seeing if they're finally gonna get back together or make it work. And it just sneaks up on you. So this was a surprise 5-star for me because I like just took a second and digested it after. And I was like, I am gonna be thinking about this book for a really long time. And I'm also gonna be recommending it a lot. I need more people talking about this book and recommending this book. It was just such a good 5-star read. Imagine you are driving and you end up in your favorite fictional town. Just imagine your favorite book or your favorite TV show or whatever it is that's fictional. Imagine you end up there on accident and get stuck with your favorite characters, your favorite restaurants, your favorite scenic spots. What books do I want to reread this year? I want to reread all of Emily Henry's books and do like an Emily Henry's for Dummies YouTube video. So that is number 1 on my list. I cannot wait to reread all of them. It's been so long and I've actually never read one of her books more than once. So it'll be really fun to like dive in and annotate and just make a whole long video reading those. A book I enjoyed with mixed reviews. I'm definitely gonna pick a novel love story. Because of how disappointed a lot of people were in their reviews, I was really hesitant to pick this up. So if you've seen a lot of negative or disappointed reviews, just go into it and have fun with it. It is just a sprinkle of romance and it definitely feels more like a woman's fiction-esque book. I really loved it. I think because of the plot intriguing me so much, maybe I had blinders on, it felt like you were in Stars Hollow. It was just such a happy book and something that I feel like has never been done before in a book, and I loved it. And last but not least, my 5-star predictions for the rest of this year. I've talked about a couple of these, but I really do believe that they're gonna be 5 stars. I know without a doubt I will be rating this 5 stars. People say that this is their favorite book out of the whole series, and I genuinely don't know how it can get better than Us Against You. So if this is better, my world is gonna be rocked. But I know without a doubt, I'll be shocked if this is not 5 stars for me. The people that I've seen rate this book 5 stars, I feel like I trust, and I also vibe kind of the same with them reading wise. I think because of seeing their reviews, I think this will be a 5-star read for me. I hope you got a new book recommendation, or you giggled along with me, or you felt any sort of kind of way, hopefully similar towards some of the things that I said. But thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me yap your little ears off. And I can't wait to continue to read this year and share more with you.